Alright, so today we're working on the front of the car. We've got some new tubes that we put in here. So basically trying to reinforce the shock tower a little bit. Dropped it down there. Obviously would have liked to go to the firewall, but that wouldn't be FD legal. So a lot of guys run tubes on the front end here, down. But with the massive Borg Warner turbo that we have on this thing, it sits like right here and there's no room to do anything in the front. So we had to run them in the back, get that in there. E46 shock towers are super weak, and as you can see, these are already pretty wrinkled from other cars hitting us, tapping the wall, crashing, all that stuff. So get the reinforcement stuff done there and hopefully stiffen up the chassis a little bit. So the rocker panels are so messed up. They're smashed in from people crashing into me. So we're making a template to fill this in with a strip of metal that we bent up to kind of match the factory shape. So this side is really destroyed. So Margaret is working on the templates for this one. On the other side, we got that one done. This one's a small one. We put this little filler panel in there, tack weld it in place, grind the edges down, make it smooth, and then when we put the wrap over the top, it'll look like, from the outside of the car at least, sponsor logos won't get cut off and look weird. These tubes are all done, it's all painted up, it's looking good. I'm making this catch tank here. Trying to make everything lighter. We have to add an SFI bell housing to meet the Formula Drift rulebook, so that's going to add a lot of weight. Stock bell housings made out of aluminum. It's pretty thin, very light. The new SFI bell housings are made out of like 3/16 or something thick steel, thicker plates, and just in case the clutch or flywheel explodes, it's supposed to keep it all contained and not cut your feet off, so that's a good thing. But here's one in the other car, and that one's all done, buttoned up. So when we get that bell housing, hopefully next week, we'll be able to put the engine and transmission together and put that back in the car and get it to the dyno and break in and tune the new engine. Alright, so just got the catch tank done, got that in the car. Bolts in the back there, drops down, there's a little drain on the bottom. It's going to go to a hose with a little valve on it so it can drain it easily. Got a couple of dash 12 fittings on there, the K&N filter on top. That's all good to go. Got the rocker panel sheet metal repair deal on there to make it straight again, so that way when the door is closed, it's not going to have a giant gap. And when we put the logos on the wrap, there won't be any cut off missing chunks, so all the sponsor logos will look good. So I figured we'd take a look inside the car while the seats are out and everything is easy to see. I've got this blower motor back here, some flexible tubing going up here so I can adjust it, point it where I want it, turn it on and off. But that thing is really nice to have, even at the cooler events, but when you're in Texas or Florida, Atlanta, actually especially Atlanta last year when it rained and it was super hot inside the car and everything was fogging up. I was actually using that to try to blow the windshield off and use it like a defroster, so it worked really well. And we've got the Motec C125 dash, PDM with the switch panel right there, with the brake bias controller, the e-brake here, pass-through master cylinder, got the pedal assembly right there, stock BMW electronic throttle pedal. So we've got the Sparta big brake kit on here with just one caliper. So we've got that pass-through master cylinder, and with the pedal assembly that we run, any dual master pedal assembly, basically it's going to limit your brake pedal travel. So stock cars vacuum boost, assist. So when you press the brakes, there's a big vacuum booster that helps so the pedal is not very stiff. And in a race car, you don't want that, because basically what happens when you push on the pedal, you let off the gas, you start left foot braking, you're going to use up the vacuum that's in the cylinder, and it's going to change the way the pedal feels. So you jump on the brakes first, you let off the gas, hammer on the brakes, tons of assist. Then you start getting back on the gas and doing left foot braking. Well, it's going to change, and pedal feel is very important. You want to be able to make sure that you can be consistent on the brakes, whether you're left foot braking and drifting or threshold braking and road racing. The brake feel is really important. So with that setup, limits the travel, and it's more of a pressure than a travel. So in a stock car, you might have 4 inches of travel or 3 inches of travel. In a race car, you're only going to have about 1 inch of travel total. You have a really good feel, and it's more about how much pressure you're putting on the pedal to get the car to stop, rather than how far forward your foot is going. So that helps. And with the pass-through master cylinder, getting back to that, you don't have big feedback. So if you use it in a stock street car with a single master cylinder, you might have a lot of feedback. When you're pushing on the brake, you pull the e-brake, and you get this big like pulse. So you pull on the e-brake handle, and it kind of kicks the brake pedal back at you. But we don't have that problem when you're running big master cylinders on a dual pedal setup. So in the engine compartment, obviously, I'm missing a few parts here, but you can really see what's going on. Not a whole lot. So we've got a obviously stock front cross member, because we're not allowed to modify those except for oil pan clearance, but we're running the stock M3 engine. There's no reason to modify it. Stock steering rack out of this car. We've got a stock steering shaft here, which actually flipped upside down. Machined that little slot out so it could slide onto the rack. That side used to be up here going to the stock steering rack. And I've got that aftermarket U-joint there. But the reason I kept this piece was, one, it's aluminum, it's lightweight, but it's also telescoping. So if you crash and everything starts to move forward, this slides about 4 or 5 inches and comes together, and it keeps that shaft from going into the car and hitting you in the face. So all good things.